Welcome to the A Plus Advising channel. I am your host, Anastasia, and we're in a little bit of a different setup today. This is a special extended version of our episodes. Today, I am with my usually behind the scenes cameraman, Mike, who always makes me look so wonderful. So I dragged him out in front of the cameras for this video. We are rolling in an EV, Tesla to be exact. And the reason that we're doing that is because today I want to talk to you advisors and service staff management about how the future of auto service is going to look for you. Hybrid vehicles have been in the market for a while now.
Long time now, yeah.
So some of the differences, the original hybrids that came out are a fully gas-powered vehicle that have an electric motor assist. And they have the smallest battery of all of them.
It's like a smoke detector battery.
So you get a little bit of extra power. It'll store power from regenerative braking and things like that. But you don't actually power the car. When you're looking at wanting to power the car, the next step up to still maintain and have an engine inside it is going to be a plug-in hybrid. Yeah. The batteries are bigger, not as big as the EV, but they are bigger and they do allow you to plug in. And I want to say that the average range on that is like 150 kilometers. Sometimes,
believe it or not, 75, but 75 to 80K.
Oh.
Some of the better ones push like 110, 120, but that's about all you're getting out of those. Regular hybrids can power the car. They power it at stupid low speeds. So like stop and go traffic, like for up to 10K an hour, that's where you're getting your electric assist on a hybrid car. And then, moving into plug-in hybrids is more accurate.
Which will start saving you gas with less idling. Those short trips, again, you're not using as much, you're not using gas on those short trips, but you've still got full range of power when you're on the highway or if you had to go somewhere far. The
plug-in hybrids are kind of like the best of both worlds, though.
Yes, they are. They're a nice medium, especially we've never really had this option. It's always been gas. Yeah. You were just looking at like how much gas did you want to go? Did you want to go with 8-cylinder gas or did you want to go with 4-cylinder gas? So having, and I think a lot more of the companies are coming on board with it, where traditionally Toyota was one of the main hybrid people that you would go to, whereas Honda had a hybrid product and Nissan has had a hybrid product for a really long time too.
Nissan's had EV for a long time.
Yes, they have. The Leaf was full EV.
Great name for a car, by the way. So friendly.
Just blows the wind like a leaf. I enjoyed my time at Nissan. It was fun, and it was. You see it in the shop. There's specific technicians that have gone and done the extra schooling to do EV. So if you are a technician that's somehow watching this video, I strongly suggest go back and start doing your manufacturer's training on whatever their hybrid is, because you'll be the first one that they come to and you're going to make the most money if you're able to deal with those hybrid problems with more and more of the vehicles becoming electric assist or fully electric. In the case of this vehicle here, how is it driving a fully electric vehicle?
Amazing. It's instant torque. It's a ton of fun to drive, but I laugh at people when I see $1.45 a liter, and it's unbelievable, right? I just, I did an analysis on my car. That sounds so lame. I did an analysis. I have an app, and it tells me what I power, like how much I power the vehicle, what it costs me every day to charge it, etc. And then gives you kind of a report every month on your kilometer usage, etc. Anyway, the short story is, for not sounding like a nerd, it cost me about $160, $170 or whatever to drive 20,000 K, which is like one tank of gas nowadays, I feel, or like easily one tank in a truck. So yeah, I mean, it's stupid efficient. It's super convenient. I just go home, plug in my car, and then in the morning it's ready to go. It charges for off-peak hours. It gets my car, heated up, cooled down, whatever it is, for the time that I typically leave every day. And then aside from that, and this is why we're doing this episode, there's no maintenance. Like, I've had some extenuous maintenance costs on this as far as changing the windshield wiper fluid. That's it.
The whopping no $4 and zero labor hours.
I was going to say, the labor kills you on it.
I feel like that's a 0.0 labor job on the windshield washer fluid top up.
Yeah, but that's why we wanted to do this episode, right? Because that's where manufacturers are going, and that's where the service drive is going to go to, is EV. And in my experience, there's not a whole lot of EV maintenance that can be done, so you're going to have to be freaking creative.
So speaking about some of the different lingo that's going to come along with these things, you don't use gas, so you're not using
MPGs,
miles per gallon. There's no MPGs. But it's not that there's no unit of measurement for this car, but what you're going to have to start educating yourself is the kilowatt hours.
Correct, yeah.
And the kilowatt hours is going to relate to two things. Number one, kind of your kilowatt hours, which is going to be how much energy you're using per distance in the hour. And then the kilowatt hours will come back into play when you're charging.
That's right.
Because if you want to start calculating how much your bill's going to be, and it'll vary depending on your different hydro. Are you charging outside? Like, are you parked at work beside the plug-in and you're plugging in at work? That's my one suggestion. Use their power.
Yeah.
Plug in at work power.
Every dealership has free charging. They're not fast chargers yet. They're only like a 6 or an 8 watt, but whatever. But
there's no fast shifts in the service department. That's convenient.
Yeah, but everywhere I go, like I visit dealer to dealer to dealer, and everywhere I get free charge. So I mean, even if I'm only there for 2 hours, 2 hours is, decent amount of charging. It'll get me another 20-30% back on my battery, which is usually my drive there. So it's sweet.
So in terms of that, if you were looking at it if it was, say, a 50 watt charger, you would...
So 50 watt would be, that's a fast charger for most manufacturers.
All right.
50 to 75. The dealership ones that you'll find, or like the flow chargers, or like the generic public ones, are typically on a low side 6 kilowatt hour, which is horrible. On a high side 12. But I mean, on average, they're usually 8. 8 kilowatts is the standard that I've seen at almost everywhere. And that's, just like a 250 volt outlet in your garage or at a store or whatever. So you're looking at, for a full charge, if you were to drain your battery to, let's say 10-15%, which you don't really go below that, back up to, let's say 90%, because you don't charge to 100 either. You're looking at probably anywhere from 5 to 6 hours, depending on the size of your battery. I have a Model 3 standard range, so I'm a 53 kilowatt battery. I think every Tesla nerd right now is going to correct me.
There you go. Look at the comment section. Is like bing, bing, bing.
So yeah, you're looking at like a 5.5 hour charge kind of thing.
So, which is more than enough time for you to get 6 hours of sleep and wrestle yourself into a coffee, and you're ready to go for the day.
Or it's your shift at work, right? Like if you kind of forget to charge or whatever, you plug in at work, and by the time you're done your shift, you're good to go.
Or if you have a longer commute to work, you would want to have that extra battery power there, just to have it. You would never run your car out of gas, so you would never run your EV out of energy. It's just you're converting.
Juice. We like to say juice.
Sorry.
Juice.
Pardon me. That's okay.
Totally making
this is great. I'm enjoying this a lot. So let's talk about, like, mechanically is probably going to be the easiest way that we're going to be able to get through to these people. So what's left? We're taking out engine.
Exactly. What's left?
We're taking out transmission. There's no more carbon to deal with.
Even the air conditioning, right? Air conditioning is completely different. The heater is completely different. It's a whole other world, right?
So going in and educating yourself on your manufacturer-specific EV vehicles, if you plan to stay within that manufacturer. But I always suggest don't always just focus on your own product. Also focus on your competitors and how their stuff works, because it gives you a better idea of why your product is better. So when you're looking at the different ways that you're going to be able to service those, keep that in mind. We've got tires left.
Yeah.
There's going to be some form of suspension, but I feel like a lot of the future issues that people are going to be having are going to be much more user error, but
electronics and I mean, there's just not a lot left, right? Like as we actually we've had this discussion a few times leading up to this episode, and the thing that I always come back to, I think where where the biggest thing is going to be is in the interface itself. So, I mean, Tesla obviously uses the huge iPad of a screen, and that's where everything is controlled. There's not a single other screen in the car unless you know, different model Teslas, whatever. But, you know, most other manufacturers still have, you know, the traditional kind of dash layout where they have a dash. They have the I don't even know the terms anymore. Like,
what they're called?
Yeah, like they have a gauge cluster, and then they have a radio. We're going to call it whatever, right?
I think it's a head control unit. Unit, yes, sure. Head unit control.
Whatever.
I've replaced a few of them. They're expensive.
But that's where I think the majority of we're going to say malfunctions, errors, breakdowns, whatever you're going to call it, is going to happen. Is that system itself? I think will be the biggest source of people coming into the drive-thru for repairs, I would think.
So we're lucky enough that we live in a seasonal climate, so we still will get that two visits a year for at least your tire rotation. If you're not coming in for an oil change because there's no engine oil, we're going to be able to come in and at least swap your tires for you. And maybe the new service visits look a little bit like a second delivery, and just seeing if the guest has downloaded all the latest updates that are available and understands their vehicle functions, because things change, especially with updates like in this car. And I'm assuming that a lot of the other manufacturers are going to take on that similar platform.
So, I mean, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
This is a podcast. This is what you do.
Yeah.
For your first.
I'll fight you.
Yeah. No, like even so funny you were saying updates, right? Like even Hyundai, for example, the new Palisade has over-the-air updates. It's not a hybrid, it's not an electric, but that's kind of the new thing, right? Was the over-the-air stuff. And I have a feeling that's going to be a huge source of not only headaches, but there are going to be some triggers with that's going to drive a lot of people to the store being like, it's not updating, it's not doing this, it kicked out my Bluetooth. It's just like a computer, right? When you download a new driver for your computer, everything else seems to F up, and then what do? You call the Geek Squad or whatever, you go Google it. But yeah, I mean, that's, I think, the same idea, right?
How long do you ignore Siri before you update your Apple?
Right, so that's like so many conspiracy theories on that. Don't update your phone. Anyway, yeah.
I'm just so lazy. I'm just like, it has to be plugged in and connected to Wi-Fi. I don't know if I'm ready to make that kind of a commitment to somewhere. So I can see how just knowing how those frustrations already happen, and just knowing, my sister puts it so wonderfully, people are very passionate about their cars.
They're dumb. That means they're dumb.
People are very passionate about their cars. So when there's going to be an educational hurdle for us to be able to educate our guests on how to use their product, and I think that there's probably going to be a lot of questions of, am I getting as many kilometers for my juice as I can? And there's going to have to be you're going to have to know and be prepared at how to field those questions as a service advisor. So we did our tire special, because we know the tires, 4 points in the vehicle that touch the road, man, those are still going to be on it no matter what drives it. We need tires. So having a really well-rounded team in terms of tires, taking a look at, say, for example, the suspension on this vehicle. Is this a traditional suspension, or is this individually driven wheels like I've seen with some other hybrids?
So what?
So when you're taking a look at, say, the RAV4, when the RAV4 hybrid, it's actually the two wheels are independent of each other, and they're electric driving motors on each wheel. So in that case, you don't have a suspension system.
Yes, correct.
But you've got to you got to know how those motors work, or if something happens with that, you have to be able to troubleshoot. So I was just wondering, even if we lose, say, our powertrain in terms of engine and transmission, if we lose our suspension and whatnot, there's a lot less in service to do.
I honestly, I think I don't know where it's gonna start, but definitely there has to be, you have to be geeky and techie and, to an extreme, I think, when we start talking about EVs and even the hybrids, the plug-in hybrids, because they're, running primarily like a EV as well. Especially they love to set up the electronics like an EV, because then people get that kind of perceived value. But I think, and that's something that you and I talked about as well. So is it, I mean, does that model for the drive-through, does that model for the service tech advisor change, where maybe, you get, when you come in for some kind of issue with, let's say this, do you get 5 minutes free with an advisor to see if it's a really quick, simple kind of customer courtesy fix? And then after that, does the advisor, take on the first half an hour to see if it's something a little bit somewhat more simple, or does that, I don't know, like, I think that just kind of opens up a whole new thing, right?
It's the same, at least with relatable to traditional gas engine, the check engine light.
Yeah.
That could be anything from a loose cap to a major malfunction, but you never know until you send it into the technician. 9 times out of 10, you're having that discussion with him where he still wants a full hour's worth of diagnostic and it was just a loose gas cap. Right. So the relatable thing to that is, okay, well, my main screen is not loading properly.
Yeah.
Am I, as a service advisor now, do you get to spend time with me trying to fix it, or am I going to send those automatically with a tech?
Right. When
it could be such easy situations as user error.
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example that I had, right? So I had, because everything in the car, the turn signal, all the noise is through the speakers. It's not a mechanical click or anything. And one day, simulation. One day I hop in, nothing's working, turn signal, nothing. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I'm thinking, oh shoot, what do I do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's a computer, so the first thing I always do is restart the freaking computer, right?
Yep.
And there's no off. You can't turn the car off. It just.
Did you try plugging it back in?
Right. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I reboot the screen? So I quickly just looked at how to do that. It's actually in the owner's manual.
Read your owner's manual. That's
ironically,
still a thing.
Well, ironically, the owner's manual's in the screen. There's no manual. So anyway, I searched that, how to reboot it. I reboot the screen, and then everything's good to go. Now, someone not inclined like myself, because it's not just nerds driving these cars.
It's not.
There's a plethora of people. But, take a senior, for example, that maybe isn't up to speed with all this stuff. They don't know how to access the manual, whatever.
But they wanted to drive a fully battery-operated vehicle. And
they're trying to save the environment.
Man.
Okay? They're trying to save our children's future.
They're trying to undo all that they did.
Yeah. No, I mean, if they didn't know how to do that, so then they show up at the dealership and say, my turn signal blinker isn't working, I don't hear audio, whatever. But what the fix is. That you could easily just start there anyway.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
And this is where those who do the research are going to be worth charging for their time. Yeah. If you don't know how to do it, like if you haven't gone in and done the research on your product and how to solve that for your customer, then you're going to have to send it to a technician. But the service advisor that's done their research and understands how these systems work and can walk in and boo, 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 I think that they are valuable, and that you could charge for a service charge like that. Even if it wasn't something huge, $50 or something like that, and that's your half an hour with the service advisor. And hey, maybe I check your Bluetooth setting is all right, and I make sure all your other things are as you like them, your screen setup and whatnot. Like I mentioned, almost like a second delivery. But I think that there's something to be thought of there for having a service charge with a service advisor, and it not necessarily going back to the tech, unless it's going to be something that's, really worth his time and effort and energy to look at.
At the same point, like, other than mechanical, like if you came in and was like, my steering feels wonky. All right, that's mechanical.
Yeah.
Right. That's not going to an advisor to be like, well, let me take it for a drive. But like when we're talking about, and we're using
coffee.
We're using this as an example, right? Like
yes.
The Tesla, and this is really the only electronic, so to speak, in the car that you can manipulate. So other manufacturers, the gauges stopped working. That might be a little bit more problematic. I'm not sure that an advisor can fix that within 20 minutes, half an hour, just by fooling around with that. That might be different, right? And, so it's not so heavily skewed towards obviously just one manufacturer. I think, to your point, if it's something mainstream not electrical, but software is the word related,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe that advisor has the authority or whatever to charge it a half an hour at a different rate or whatever the hell it is, whatever we're talking about. But advisors can take care of that. And that is, in my opinion, from an EV owner standpoint, that is more for convenience for customers than it is for you as an advisor. Because for me, I don't want to come in with something like this, like for the example of, when it's not working, I don't want to have to go and pull into the dealership and they're like, yeah, okay, well, we'll book you in. It's going to be an hour and a half. And what are you doing? This is the problem with doing an effing podcast where you're driving at effing idiots on the road.
It's Scarborough. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not. This is not my neck of the woods.
It's
Anyway,
okay. I'm happy that
I actually brought a little bat. No, I'm kidding.
You did
No,
not.
I'm kidding.
You brought me.
But I think that's a customer service thing more than it is a profit generator for an advisor or something like that. I think that's just convenience because I don't want to have to come in, book in my car, wait for it to go in the shop. It's not going on a hoist. It's just literally a guy or a girl coming in who's got a technician versus someone else who could probably take care of that. So that's for you and that's your area of realm. But I'm just saying as a customer, that would be a huge convenience for me rather than having to wait and wait and wait.
Well, the best way to think of how to service your guests is think about how your guests buy and think about what they would want and that personal experience. And I've even had this with just my whole career setting up Bluetooth. I meet a guy who bought a new phone 3 weeks after he got a new car, and now he needs to reset up his Bluetooth, and he just doesn't remember because the sales guy did it for him and didn't show him. If I spend 5 minutes with him going through it and showing him how to do it, that guy's coming back to me for a set of winter tires. That guy is saying yes every time I tell him he needs an alignment, and that guy is never declining an upfront maintenance service that he needs because I spent that time with him. So those,
and I mean, maybe you make it a big deal, right? But maybe you tell the guy, like, you know what, I'm supposed to put this in the shop, but I'll take care of it for you. Let me see if we can figure it out together.
And then see how it goes.
Just to give that kind of, experience. Because, I mean, really.
Well, I think it's going to depend on whether you charge for it or not.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's going to depend on if you are charging for it, you want to make the service valuable. Like, hey, I'm not a licensed technician, but I am a product specialist. Like, I work with your product every day, and half an hour with me is going to cost you $29.95. But let's go and sort out all of your user issues. And somebody may see a lot of value in that and say yes, or you may want to present it as a complimentary service. But it's all just going to depend on your investigative questions that you're asking at the desk. This person's coming in, they're going to tell you what your problem is. You should know as a service advisor whether or not you can field that. I think that it's
well, that goes back to your point. I think the most valuable service advisors in the upcoming years, and we're not talking about 10 years, like in the next 2 years, I would say.
It's coming.
Winter's coming. The next, the most valuable advisors are going to be pardon the phrase, but the geeks, the techs that can really dive into a system quickly, efficiently, while a customer's sitting there and get this done. Right?
And
maybe that might
be geek these days. Like, all the information is there on YouTube. If you sit, a lot of my research that I do for my videos or any of the work that I do back on YouTube. And while I'm listening, I listen to it while I'm cleaning my house or doing whatever. And I'm so much more educated on things that I never would have learned in any way in school, because we all have access to information now.
So the internet. Here's a weird one to scare all of you advisors and technicians. I know, right? No, let's talk about reality. Let's be realistic just for 30 seconds. Let's hope this makes it in the podcast. What about YouTube? Right? So if we're talking mainly software issues, a lot of software stuff can be solved el manuel, right? So what about people on YouTube that just go on and find the issues, the solutions to their software issues?
Which is my generation of millennials. Yeah. You're dealing with, your customer base has shifted. the age of your customer base has shifted, and the golden years of people that were taught to maintain their vehicles at all costs and save lots of money for the in between their service visits, and make sure they could afford everything and recognize their brakes were at 3 millimeters and put the pennies away. All of those people are gone. You're dealing with live for the moment millennials for the most part now, gestational millennials and millennials, that's us. But
I know what you wanted to say there.
The
elder millennials.
The millennial elder, Liza, the queen.
No, it's true though, right? Like, it's true. Like, what my generation, I'm going to YouTube it before I step foot in the store.
I fixed my washing machine on YouTube.
Yeah.
I fixed.
Exactly.
I've done all kinds of different things just by watching YouTube and how to do it. So when people are advising themselves to their technical problems, you could be sitting there in a very quiet drive-through. So it'll be seasonal, busy winter tire season.
It's true. That's true. So at that point, here's like, if I'm gonna not plug me, but in a sense, if you're a service advisor and this is the way it's going, maybe a smart play for following and for what's the word we're looking for? Retention and employment.
Retention, that's my favorite. Yes, retaining your employment.
Maybe you got to get in front of the camera and teach people how to do some of this stuff that is widely available. Maybe start your own thing, like how to reboot the screen or whatever. Maybe that's part of your employment plan, is to create some of this original content for yourself, so that way people are like, oh, I like Anastasia because she puts out these quick videos on how to solve little issues, and now I'm having a bigger issue, or I need winter tires, or I need some of that expensive washer fluid, so I'm going to come see her.
Come by and say hi.
I know it's ironic that they can put washer fluid in, they're going to come see her. I get them.
You would not believe the amount of people that come to the dealership for washer fluid and air. It is a thing. I think that I'll do a shameless plug to my next test drive video here, is that service advisors are not taught how. They've always kind of just been fed every 3 months maintenance. You have to come in every 6 months maintenance. You have to come in. They haven't been where on the front end, the sales staff, in order to be a really good salesperson, you have to create yourself a personal brand. And service advisors never had to really do that before. So I think now is the time, when maybe the business is changing, that service advisors start changing a little bit to recognize how much of physical salespeople they actually are, and start kind of acting like it, you know what I mean? And so I'm gonna have my buddy Nick Kosbar on the next one of our extended test drive episodes, because he is a business builder and a brand builder. So I'm hoping to help give the service advisors a little bit of help so that they can start doing just that, building a personal brand and figuring out how they can use today's technology to get them through, when today's technology may start hurting them sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, before everybody leaves and goes, fuck this, and doesn't want to hear any of that shit. Okay, relax. We're not talking about hiring like a professional videographer like myself. We're talking like the TikToks and the Instagram reels, and like literally just pull out your cell phone, have some fun, whatever. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You're still going to be employed. But, there's just these little things that, again, if you're watching this channel, you're not trying to be mediocre. So if you're watching this, this is where, you separate yourself from the rest. And this is where, you become heavily employable no matter where you go, because you have a following, versus, generic Stephanie service advisor who, doesn't know her shit, doesn't do TikToks and dances and trending and bullshit. So don't panic. It's just, if you want to be great, you got to do some shit.
Take a look at your friend Paul. Way out there, and the amount of people that probably come from really far to buy a Dodge product off of him. And he does such a good job creating his own personal brand, and he has such an awesome following, and that's directly relating into the man's auto sales. I can tell you that 100%. I see his delivery snapshots go up all the time. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that fact. You don't have to hide behind your computer screen all the time and just hope the BDC books good appointments for you. Start driving your own business. There's lots of people who maybe they just happen to go to the Toyota dealership across town and they just feel like, nothing else is better. But if you show them that your location is the best one in your area because they got you, that can drive business directly to your desk, and you're not worried about, did the BDC make sure that they evened out all the appointments this month or this week? So start taking control of that, because again, the business is going to change and you got to learn to change with it. So I'm so glad that we're doing this video and we're talking about all these upcoming things of the future. Not many talks of the future lately have been good.
No.
Our talks of the future are awesome. We're here for you.
But now, what else? Like, okay, so
in the future.
So, like, I don't know. There's no maintenance on these things. What do you do? So it's going to be upkeep, I feel, right? Like, it's not going to be maintenance. I have a feeling you can
suggesting detailing.
No, I think what you're going to have to be smart on is play on some words, right? So it's upkeep. Maintenance is like, they're going to be like, there's no maintenance. No, but there's upkeep. Like you said, even detailing. We recommend that you get your car detailed 3 times a year: spring, fall, and I don't know,
halfway through the winter, so that the saltings don't set in.
Sure, whatever, right? And then you've got tire alignment, you've got tire rotation. These notoriously chew through tires because there's so much torque involved that they're just, and then people drive them like bandits.
And they're kind of fancy, low profile, fancy tires.
Yeah, like I rip around and friggin', I'm going to burn through tires in probably 40K, whatever. But then there's, I'm sure.
Quick quotes looking for your winters, by the way. Don't worry, they're good.
Appreciate that. There's other little things you can do, right? Like, I just feel you're just going to have to be creative. You're going to have to be creative in the marketing of it, what you're calling it, and really kind of start to understand EV drivers, because I don't think we understand EV drivers very much right now. I wouldn't say I understand me. I'm just, I'm not even a year into this thing. And I think you almost have to use Tesla as the example because they've been out there for so long, and just start talking to some of their customers. If you're, if you want to research, like Anastasia was saying,
if you've got a friend who has a Tesla, go for a drive.
No, but like if you want to become better, if you want to prepare for the future, maybe start asking some of these drivers, what are some things that you've been doing to keep your car running well, keeping, its appearance up, blah, blah, blah. And then that's kind of what you've got to use, right? You've got to plan for doing that.
As long as maybe nobody takes any of the suggestions we've had, if the only thing you really kind of take away from this video is the understanding that vehicles are changing and the business is changing, and you are going to have to change your model to continue to make money in this business, that's all I really ask. That's the main takeaway that I wanted people to have with this, because I don't think that they realize that so much of our business model is going to just be gone, and the vehicle will not have these systems that we've flushes and fluids and carbon services and it's all gone.
Yeah.
Hey, bye.
Yeah, hold on.
Bye-bye.
Hold on. Let me jump in.
Yes, please. Tell us if there's something we can still sell.
The days of combustion engines disappearing, we're talking a long time from now. I think you're easily 10 plus years before you don't see combustion engines coming into the drive-thru. Easily, if not more. Right? So it's not that service advisors are going to be like, in 3 years from now, oh my God, there's not an electric car. It's not going to be that bad. I think what we're talking about right now, right? Because for what you're saying is, if you want to be irreplaceable at your store, be the nerd that knows everything EV, as well as the great advisor for, we're going to say 70% of the business moving forward. Maybe then it goes to 50. Then maybe it goes to 30% of your business is still gas engines, 70% is EV. But you've been the nerd for so long, you're like that advisor that's...
Now you're the service manager. Hopefully.
Maybe. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to... It's not all doom and gloom for you guys. Like, there's still going to be gas engines all over the place. But it's going to transition. It's going to start slowly going. You're going to get to that 50-50 ratio, I think, sooner than you think. But to be the expert on EV, on the software, on the hybrid systems, and have that confidence with customers coming in, being like, no, I only want to talk to him or her because they know these things inside and out. That's where you kind of become irreplaceable as an employee, as an advisor, versus, someone who kind of knows it a bit, but usually sends the car in the shop. Kind of knows it a little bit, but then they get caught saying some incorrect terms to people driving these cars who are typically geeks and get called out on. About. Yeah, there's nothing more embarrassing than getting called out on your shit. Like, I'm going to get called out for the 50 kilowatt battery, right?
They say
you're going to be embarrassed, and it's going to not be good. And I mean, best case scenario, you don't get embarrassed, and worst case scenario, you get embarrassed and your CSI goes to shit because they're like, yeah, he was wrong. He doesn't know, blah, blah, blah.
They say it in the sales department too. So this is another portion of where I say that service advisors should get more sales training. And they don't. The sales people in the front end, the golden boys, get all the training and fun stuff.
Golden boys.
Golden boys. You're all front end golden boys. And fancy demos and shit.
Yeah, that's true.
It is true. You all get fancy demos. Yeah,
this is the first car I paid for in 13 years.
Oh, rough. Hang on, we're going back to my 05 Corolla I bought on debit.
Did you tap for it? That'd be freaking great.
No, it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
They made me pay $300 over cost.
So $400?
Yeah, it was. No, and I had to pay tax and non-vic fees, so it was like $425. The thing with it is that they tell the service advisor or the salespeople in the front end, don't try to get too technical on a car with a customer, because 9 times out of 10, somebody who's coming in on a specific vehicle knows way more about that car than you do. Mm-hmm. So you keep it broad, you keep it general, but get informed. Start, even if you're not going head over heels into it, start familiarizing yourself with the terms.
But Anastasia, where do we do that?
YouTube.
There you go. Where you're watching this, you moron.
How about I link some of the videos that I watched to do this research for this a little test drive in the Tesla, test drive in the future.
Fun fact, you want to know how much information there is about EVs and all this crap in general? Tesla's delivery experience is the paperwork's on your seat, sign it, and then they come and take it and go, okay, see you later. They don't tell you shit. They don't tell you how to operate it. They don't tell you anything.
That's your delivery. That makes me cringe.
Do you know why, though? Do you know why?
Because they figure you know it all?
Because you already know.
You do.
Because anybody who buys EV cars, and it's not just specific to Tesla, is they literally research it up, down, left, right, because they want to know what they're getting into. This is still new, right? And then people get excited. So then they get in this little rabbit hole on YouTube like you do about friggin' 9/11 videos or... I don't know, shit. True crime. That's a good one. Oh, my wife's in a deep hole now. Oh, I can't come home after
some stuff.
I can't come home after dark because she gets angry because she's like, I'll walk in the door. She'll start narrating her own death podcast. She thought it was her husband walking in the door with dinner when in actual fact, and I'm like, wow.
Oh, did she listen? I've got
dark
I feel
hole.
like I'm excited. Hole. I want to crawl down there with her.
Anyhow,
Mike's wife, I'm coming for you.
That's gonna scare the shit out of her now.
That's great.
Little did she know, I can just hear it.
Oh my god, I'm so excited! You gotta play that in the bedroom
on the next
fucking in the right as you're going to sleep. Just be like, Mike's wife, I'm coming for you.
So anyhow,
done that,
we digress. But see, this is why you need a moderator. You're gonna go on this.
That's fine.
She's gonna go on this black hole. Anyhow, find yourself in a black hole on EV. You can do all your research there. You'll find a ton of information specific to your brand, non-specific to your brand, whatever you want to know.
Do 30 minutes of EV and then 20 minutes of true crime.
Jesus Christ.
And then go get a snack, and that's only an hour.
But yeah, so that's what you do. That's what you do.
I found so many different variations of information, and it was so cool to just see so many. It's so fast.
I know.
Okay, so this is research. Goes really, really fast.
The fun part is even when you're doing 90,
watch, there's usually a cop over here though.
Oh,
well, it's my area, so I thought I would let you know. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be like the end of the podcast of Bad Boys, Bad Boys.
So good. Where are we, by the way?
We're actually, I feel like almost back to somewhere that would be close to our destination if we bus a right.
All right. See, you know you're in Scarborough when you go bus a right. No T, just bus a right.
I gotta bus a right.
All right.
Welcome to Scarborough. I'm so happy that we got to do this video. This has been, I've been bugging him for this one for a little while. But if you liked having some of these extended test drive podcasts.
You love it. You don't like it.
I do love it. Okay.
These people.
If y'all love it, I want you to.
That is such a Scarborough thing too, by the way. Curtis, you don't see people in Curtis go like this.
I'm gonna show him one Scarborough thing once the cameras go off.
People in Curtis don't go like this. They go like this, like donuts or burgers.
Ooh, donuts or burgers. That's a good one. But we much love down here in Scarborough.
Sorry, you were saying follow me, like me, subscribe to me, and all that shit.
Something like that. Yeah. I think it's a YouTube video. I think I'm supposed to say that.
Yeah, like follow, subscribe.
You need to subscribe to me. You need to follow
Messenger pigeon, smoke. Some sort of update on your watch.
I tried to do the messenger pigeons. They just
chip in your ear where you get a little shock when Anastasia drops in the episode. It's a lie.
It would be great.
So follow her.
Follow me.
Like
you can
her.
Follow him too.
Virtually like her. You can like her too, but virtually like her.
Yeah, do like the actual button pressing of the liking, not just like aww.
Don't admire her. Like her. But yeah, cool. Sorry, I hijacked that total part. You can go. Sorry.
I never do the ending as good as that, so
go ahead.
I feel like if I don't say anything, he's gonna have to put that one in.
It's true. I do stuff too.
We do stuff too.
I do stuff. I do video editing and stuff, but that doesn't really matter.
All right, you get a full 30-second plug for your own business. Actually, came to my general manager at my dealership suggested this handsome young gentleman over here for this YouTube project that I have undertaken, and I'm so glad that I did, and I am so glad that I have his. It's more than just somebody on the camera and
thank you.
It really is.
See, that's my stick. That's it right there. You want to know why you hire me? There's a lot of better people that are better with these things. I'm using this for a mic because the mic and these are shit. There's a lot of better people that are better at video that can edit way better than me. However,
nobody edits better than you.
No, that's not true at all. Science. Yeah. But here's the thing. This is my shameless 20-second plug. If I do your video, I'm not invested in just your video. Yeah, I'll make you look pretty. I'll make cool videos for you. I will help you develop whatever business you're in. I will help you with your video in the context of how it's going to appear to your consumers. Anyway, I've got 18 years of owning and operating a business behind me. Multi-million-dollar stores. That's what I bring to you. I'm not just a geek with a camera. I will totally help you with your business projects and all that stuff aside, other than shooting cool video. That's my stick. Thank you.
There you go. He's giving me...
No, that was my 30 seconds. That's it.
That's it. All right. I'm not allowed to talk, but just ignore him now. Yeah. Just look at me.
Yeah. I'm just your Uber driver for the remainder of the ride.
All right. To Niagara. No. So you have enough charge for that?
Yeah, we can do it.
I'm... What do you think we should do?
That's it.
That's the play of the video. We're out. All right.
It's just
good.
Whatever you want to say.
I hope our cameras watch. That would be so freaking funny.
You're going to touch it. Women have to just leave it alone. Sorry.
You can tell I'm a mom. I got one of them stairs.
I just got put in line. Okay.
I didn't see nothing.
What would you like to say? Because as soon as I roll up to Starbucks, I'm literally opening the door and kicking you out.
All right. Okay. Well, that's rude.
So this has been fun. Thanks for watching.
This has been fun. I'm so glad that we got to do this. I'm pleased. Everybody, leave your comments down below. If there's something that we forgot to cover, or if you've got an idea for a video, if there's something that you're struggling with as a service advisor and you want my 2 cents on it, please leave some comments down below. We would love to help you out. And thank you so much to everybody who has supported our project this far. Thank you, Huddle, Space, Mike, and on our next test drive, I am going to be hanging out with my friend Nick. So I can't wait for that, and we will see you later.
Merci beaucoup.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.